Sawadika, welcome to ASEAN Talks on ASEAN TV. I am Tulip Naksompop, your host in this episode. And today, March 8th, it's marked the International Women's Day. So today we have Ms. Shoko Ishikawa, the Acting Regional Director for UN Women East and Southeast Asia with us to talk about the issues related to Women's Today and also this day in particular. Sawadika. First of all, thank you very much to join us on the show today. Before we go anywhere further, your title is the Acting Regional Director for East and Southeast Asia for UN Women. So may I ask how big of the scale we are talking about here?
The East and Southeast Asia Sub-Regional Office that is based in Bangkok, we cover 16 countries. That spans from Mongolia, China, all the way to Myanmar, Laos, and then down to Timor-Leste. But in the 16 countries, we actually have presence in 8 countries. Mm-hmm. The others are covered sort of remotely by providing technical assistance.
Okay, and UN Women just a little over a year. Mm-hmm. And before that, we heard a lot about UNIFEM. Mm. What's going on with UNIFEM now? Is they still there, or is there any changes?
What's happened is that as part of the UN Secretary General's reform efforts to create a more coherent UN and to streamline businesses, there has been some reform efforts taking place. And part of it was to consolidate 4 different entities within the UN that were working on gender equality. Mm-hmm. One of them was UNIFEM. And then 3 other entities, Division for the Advancement of Women, which was part of the UN Secretariat in New York, the Office of the Special Advisor to Secretary General on Gender Issues, as well as INSTRO, which was a training and research institute that is based in Santo Domingo. These 4 entities have joined together and have created a stronger mandate within the UN system to support gender equality and the advancement of women. So UNIFEM no longer exists. Okay. We've been absorbed into UN Women, and we're very happy about that because we have a stronger mandate. We have a Under-Secretary General that is heading the organization, Ms. Bachelet, who used to be the president of Chile. Mm-hmm. And so we have a much stronger voice within the UN system to advocate for gender equality, and we feel that there's a greater expectation upon us as UN Women to be supporting our member states also.
Can I ask, since you call it UN Women, is it all staff female?
No, it's not.
Okay,
no.
Just to be a gimmick of it.
Yeah, it's a name that the governments have selected for us.
Right.
Yes, but we have senior members, senior managers that are men and women.
Okay, so this year's campaign for the International Women's Day is the empowerment of rural women and their role in poverty and hunger eradication, development, and current challenges.
Right.
That's a really tall order. So if you were to focus on rural women, how can we reach out to those rural women?
Well, first of all, I want to mention why this is the focus of this year, and it's actually a focus of an intergovernmental commission that is taking place in New York right now, which is called the Commission on the Status of Women. This is a commission that sits under the Economic and Social Council of the UN, and annually they debate on gender equality and women's empowerment issues. And a few years ago, they selected the topic of rural women and girls to be the theme of this year. Okay. Annually, the theme changes. Last year, it was education of girls. Next year, it's violence against women. And the reason why rural women and girls was chosen is because they are a group of women that are marginalized in a sense, although in number they actually make up 1/4 of the world's population.
Right.
When you actually look at the indicators in terms of their education, in terms of their access to services, credit and land, there's a huge disparity whether you're a woman in the urban area or the rural area. The rural women are left behind. And so it's a demonstration of the government saying that we need to pay greater attention to rural women. And the reason for that is it's, first and foremost, it's a human rights.
Right.
Everybody has a right to development. And so we need to pay greater attention. But it's also in terms of if you want to have democracy, if you want to have a just society, you can't be leaving behind the women. But there's also an economic argument to it, which is appealing, I guess, to the economic policymakers. A FAO study had found that if you provide equal access to fertilizers and seeds to women, the total agricultural output will increase by 2.5 to 4%.
Oh, okay.
And so that means you have 100 to 150 million fewer hungry people around the world. So investing in women is good economics, smart economics.
So it sounds like woman is, what's it called? Harder worker? Mm-hmm. Isn't that sound a little, I don't want to make it sound kind of biased, but it sounds kind of nice. So, I mean, is this research definite for, okay.
It's an estimate. It's an estimate that the Food and Agriculture Organization has made.
But of course, we should not be biased just because of the gender. We cannot just say, okay, this person not going to be able to achieve this and this just because they are men or women, right? So the theme of this year also talk about current challenges. What is the current challenges of the
rural women and girls? I think it is the fact that the policies that are being made at the national level are not looking into the differences of women, and women is not in one category a monolithic group.
Right.
And you need to be paying attention to the different groups of women. And so when you're making a policy, first of all, women are left behind in general.
Right.
But when you look at it even further, there are certain groups of women that are not taken into consideration of policy decisions. So if there is such as if you're trying to look at agricultural development, and if you're talking about agricultural extension to reach more people in the rural areas. In fact, there's only about 5% of women that are being reached through the agricultural extension systems, which means that you have to be looking into how you are delivering the messages. Is it timed at the right time, or are the women going to be so busy that they can't take advantage of the agricultural extension? The various training programs that are being provided to women, is it located in a convenient area so that women can take out from their busy work and attend these courses? So there's a much more nuanced way that you have to be delivering your services.
So we can say that most of the time when the policy made, when they say it's for general public, it's more like it's catered to male rather than to female. And
a lot of time it's not intentional. It's just that you are not paying attention to the fact that as much as 70% of your agricultural workforce in some parts of the world are women. And you're blindly making policies not considering the different needs of women and men.
Right. Okay. That's a little more in detail. Right now, UN Women has been a little over a year, like we said. And what is the focus? What is the projects of the organization?
The focus, particularly in this region, we have 3 major areas that we are working in. One is to support the governments with the implementation on CEDAW. And CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. This is an international convention that 180-some countries have already ratified. And within this region, all the 10 ASEAN member states have ratified this convention. But we help the governments to really translate this international convention into reality on the ground.
Right.
Policies, laws, and programs. So, for example, it could be supporting gender equality law in Indonesia, for example, which is an ongoing process right now, or supporting the debates that are happening in Laos around whether to have a domestic violence law. We help the governments debate what would be the pros and cons and what is the international standard in that sense. We also work with the civil society groups so that they could use this convention as a tool for their advocacy and demanding accountability from their governments. The other area that we are working on is the economic empowerment of women. And within that, within this region, a very important issue is the migration of women and the safe migration of migrant women workers. And this is an issue that is debated within the ASEAN. Right now there is an instrument that the ASEAN governments are trying to create for facilitating migration, safe migration and management of migration. But our concern is particularly how women are being treated in the process of migration.
So when you're talking about migration and migrant worker and labor, is that also included trafficking?
It does, because migrants can fall into being trafficked.
Right.
And there's a lot of debate about documented, undocumented migrants and also trafficking. Even though you might have been a documented migrant worker, at some point in time you may have your passport withheld, and then you may have to be resorting a recruiting agency that actually may be a trafficker.
Right.
And so there's always the moving in and out of the documented, undocumented and trafficked. And so in general we are trying to make migration safe for women by working with, again, the governments and the civil society, but also working with the recruiting agencies.
And the third area?
The third area is ending violence against women. And this is actually a UN system-wide. Across the UN, we are trying to address this issue through the Secretary General's campaign, Unite to End Violence Against Women. And UN Women has been playing the role of campaign manager and facilitating the process of bringing together the different UN agencies, bringing together the governments and the civil society to really raise the issue of ending violence against women to a higher level and draw out policy commitments. Also draw out more civil society movements and mobilizing youth and men to be engaged in ending violence against women.
So when we talk about these issues for UN Women, it's actually you cannot act alone. It requires a lot of help with a lot of organization.
Yes.
So what other units of UN that you have been working with a lot?
We work closely with quite a lot of the agencies. UNDP we work with, and I think a lot of our collaboration with UNDP fall in the area of governance, because they are very strong on governance. They have programs that, for example, support elections in different countries, and at the time of elections, for example, in Timor-Leste, there is an election coming up this year, presidential election as well as national elections. And the partnership is actually UNDP, UNICEF and UN Women. We try and support the outreach to women as voters as well as candidates, whereas UNDP is working on the wider electoral management system, for example.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, and we will come back and talk more about what UN Women is doing and also what we can do as ASEAN communities. Be right back.